Back to the 2026 Scrabble Players Championship. Josh Sokol here, joined again by Will Anderson for the last 3 games of day 3. Most prestigious championship in North America. Will, who do we have for you?
Yeah, we are going to be sticking with our tournament leader going into the lunch break, and that is Joey Mallick. He is going to be up against longtime expert David Pearl, I believe, from California. David is in 4th place right now, punching a bit above his weight if the seedings of the tournament are to be believed. So very, very impressive performance so far from David. He is going to get his crack at Joey Mallick in the game we're about to see. So we saw Joey a couple times, Josh, this morning in the 4 games we called, and he is giving us some cardiac, palpitations here with his close wins down the stretch of these games.
Yeah, in both games, Joey Mallick actually played a phony word that was not called off and ended up winning by just a few points each time. So crazy close games. We love close games. We love every game, but when things are going down to the wire, nail biters, that's the best content, and we'll see if he can provide more of that to us playing David Pearl. Like I said when we saw David Pearl, I think on day 1, he is a long-time top expert player, rated in the 1900s, 1800s, but he's never really been the top player that Joey Mallick is. However, all that can change. This tournament is the biggest determining factor on how good you are at Scrabble in North America. 28 games against some of the best competition in the continent. So we'll see if he can continue his hot streak, stay within the top of these standings. We can show you the standings, by the way, if we have that available for you right now. But like you said, Joey Mallick is in first place. He won another nail biter against Ori Swift last round to take the lone lead. I think he's 14-4 now, right?
Yeah, he's the lone 14-4. There's a few players right behind him at 13, and then David is the highest 12. Those 2 players at 13, Ori Swift and Jason Lee, players we've seen and will very likely continue to see a bunch of going into this afternoon and tomorrow. But yeah, Joey, 1 game ahead of the next closest player. To your point, though, a couple of these phonies, invalid words making their way onto the board. If Joey, who I feel like that's a rarity for Joey Mallick, but if he continues to tempt fate with those plays, maybe we will see one of his opponents catch him in that bluff, and it could swing one of these games back in the other direction. So again, I think Joey Mallick is very, very solid on his words, but let's just see what happens if he keeps going to that well.
Things can change at the blink of an eye, but I would like to say a very crazy stat. I've called all 18 games so far. In those 18 games, 5 phonies have been played and 0 have been challenged off the board. There have been 0 challenges thus far. We have a whole scene set up for the challenge computer once the challenge actually happens, but we have not seen a single player challenge a single word on the top board. So is it that everybody is intimidated by everyone else, just assuming that the word knowledge will is better than theirs? Is that what's going on? Like this is really weird. It's not as if no one's played a phony. 5 phonies, a phony 4, 2 phony 5s, 2 phony 6s. None of them were challenged.
That's definitely a rarity at this level where you can take for granted that these players have studied the dictionary very hard. They know their words very solidly. We should also note that even with those 5 phony words that you mentioned, Josh, that have been played on the stream and none of them challenged, we've also seen a slew of very impressive bingo finds, lots of other amazing plays. It's not as if we're not seeing amazing Scrabble, but that is an oddity on the top board to not see those invalid words get brushed off the board for that big loss of turn penalty. So at some point, we are very likely to see if our players keep tempting fate. As I said, we're going to see somebody pull the trigger on that, and we will get to see our beautiful challenge screen that our producers have worked so hard on.
Yeah, and if you remember what those phonies are, if you've been following the whole time, by the way, please like the video. We're at around 60 likes. We'd love to see more likes and get this stream spread through the algorithm. But if you remember all of those phonies, let us know in the YouTube chat. Like I said, 2 phony 6s, 2 phony 5s, 1 phony 4. And like Will said, still incredible Scrabble being played, just a little bit of hitches along the road. Top players are not perfect, but they are so good at Scrabble. That's what we've been seeing the whole time, and we will see more of that going forward. And yeah, it is funny. Like the top players, what's very interesting when challenges happen is they often happen immediately. I've played Will Anderson multiple times, played a phony word, and you just like I hit the clock and boom, sorry, it's over. Like when that happens to you, just your heart sinks. When you haven't seen that at all. So at the very least, having something held and then challenged, that's the normal course of events. But you can see the top players, some of the top players, they know so well, they know the dictionary so well. You play something, it's off.
Yeah, a couple of those invalid words that were played, in particular, thinking back earlier today, it's been posted in the chat, cloved. That's one that I would not have instantly challenged. There's too many words that look like that do take a D hook, and cloven being a valid word, it's so bizarre. That seems like a verb form, and a lot of other verbs that end in OVE that can take that N hook that kind of denote a past tense. Roven and roved are both valid, so you could easily look at that as a comparison point. But yeah, that one would have taken a good long tank to actually challenge that. And you can hear after the game, the post-game deliberation, Jason Lee said, yeah, something gnawed at me about that word. It struck me weird, but I knew I wasn't going to pull the trigger on a challenge. And that's the way it goes sometimes. If you challenged every time you felt that little twinge that there was something awry, you would probably also lose a lot of challenges to valid words, Josh.
Definitely. So anyways, we will see. David Pearl has very good word knowledge. I don't expect him to phony, but Joey Mallick is the same. It really is such an anomaly to see him play any phonies in a single tournament. I mean, maybe once a tournament, Joey Mallick will play a phony or even let a phony go. It's just super rare. So to have seen that happen on camera twice, actually even 3 times. So the 5 phonies, for those wondering, KHEF, is Joey Mallick's 4-letter phony. It was then hooked by Nigel Peltier, and that was the second phony in that game. It was also not challenged. Cloved, and then there was Barrer, Barrer, and then there was one more that was let go, Yuchy, which was also mentioned. Anyways, we've panned to the board. The players are ready. The announcements are over. The players have been ready for a while, actually, but the announcements sometimes drag a little bit longer. It is at least before the top of the hour that these guys get going. Joey Mallick at 14-4, top of the standings. David Pearl 12-6 with good spread, and Joey going first. Let's see what he gets.
Yep, away we go. First rack of the game. Joey usually wasting no time getting those tiles on the rack. Has a good starting point to potentially build towards a bingo, but certainly nothing yet with the duplicated A's and the Y. Feels like we could be looking at a play like K, which he's already lined up. Any merit to playing something longer here, Josh?
See anything longer that makes sense? CAY or DAY? CAST is a better leave than ADST. Is it worth 2 points plus the fact that DAY can be overlapped much more easily? I think the defense is probably worth it here, and the 2 extra points. Okay, coming down, or Kai for 16 points, but David Pearl has drawn a blank immediately. EIJOPT blank is his opening rack. So he's really close himself.
And Stockade potentially playable now for Joey Mallick through the sea. of K if that remains open. And it feels like some of the logical plays for David, given that he does not have a playable bingo here, he might just look to play Joy into the Y of K. And look at that. So quickly does Joey Mallick arrange his tiles to indicate he is ready to rock with this bingo.
Yeah, great find. And if David Pearl pulls the trigger on this word joy, 14 points, keeping a fantastic lead. Stockade will be coming down very, very quickly. This is a very reasonable play. It's his best leave, only 14 points. There wasn't really a great way to score in David Pearl's position. I think this is totally fine. Here comes Stockade.
Yeah, no need to wait here. The only question after this, what will David be able to play? Emptiest at a minimum is going to fit actually in a couple different places after this play. But that being said, Joey has to be thrilled to get a bingo down with a K and, not the best bingo rack. Yes, he had an S and an ED combination, but he's very happy that C remained open. And David had a chance to do a little psychological warfare if he wanted to play Joey instead of Joy, but he's going to be very happy to have kept that E, increasing his bingo chances quite a bit. And you can see he just already spotted emptiest. So we will see how quickly he winds up playing that one.
Yeah, what could be better than playing from the E of Stockade, doubling that M? Maybe something through the D of Stockade, hitting both double word scores. But there really isn't much else to look for. It's pretty much ideal playing emptiest from the E of Stockade. So we'll see how much longer David takes on this blank bingo. Definitely you want to just catch yourself before you make a decision when you have a blank. There could be something lurking. It's much harder to find all of the playable words when you have a blank tile. And Joey, on the other hand, has drawn a Q, so he's going to be saddled with that. If emptiest comes down, he will have a nice way to just play it for 22, or even play QAT for 32 to the T in emptiest. Looking a little bit ahead here, but here it comes. Blank S, and we're going to see probably a 32-point response, keeping 5 consonants from Joey Mallick.
Yeah, almost forced in response to play your Q in one of the two places. If you had an I in reserve, you might really consider playing the Q play here, setting up your I to lucratively play to the triple, but Joey does not have that. Great question raised in the chat of, do the players know the hooks to Stockade? That is something that could definitely come into play here on future turns. In particular, there's really one hook that I'm thinking of, which is the D. Are the players going to be confident to put a D at the end of this word? And if they are, there's a lot of points on offer for 5-letter plays going across.
Good decision by Joey. You might think, why is he opening a triple QI as a word? But that I in empty is so important to leave open with the 5 consonants. You want to draw stuff with ing. Unfortunately, now slurring is not going to fit from the S in Stockade. But yes, we will see most likely whether the players are aware of the hooks on Stockade. We might actually see it get blocked by a play through or from the M of emptiest. But neither player has an S or a D at the moment. We'll see what David Pearl comes up with here. I think a pretty standard play with his rack would be to play Rain to the right of QAT, making QI and AN, just to get rid of that second R. But is it worth it, Will, to play for 9 extra points and play IN, AYIN?
Very interesting decision there. Do you go for the points or for the rack balance? This is like a classic sort of Scrabble-y decision that comes up all the time. Looks like David has spotted both of those options and might be considering playing for balance. I think the main thing that you're looking at with a play like Rain is, can you identify a really nice option for the Y that you're keeping on the rack? And I'm not sure there's a great option. You have a couple places where a Y could score decent numbers of points, but I don't think there's anything amazing to write home about. So that would skew me to maybe take the points here, and that's the decision that he has gone with as well.
Probably just gonna see Stockades and Stockade get blocked here for Joey Mallick. Ian coming down, taking the points. When in doubt, take the points. That's a good dash to live by. So MURR from the M and emptiest looks like a great play for Joey to score something with this awful looking rack. 18 points, open the board at a slight deficit. But look at what David has arranged on his rack. We saw it yesterday or the day before as well. When he has a pinko, he separates his tiles deliberately just to make sure that his opponent doesn't see them all together. It's a little bit of um, a thing that some players do when they're a bit scared that their opponent is reading their mind. But yeah, MURR looks totally fine to me. Riviera will fit, making ah to the left of Ian. And I do not expect Joey Malik to block it.
Yeah, he has no real reason to block that area. It's interesting. He has a lungy set up right now, which would go here for a decent score. It would keep the duplicated R's, which I'm sure you don't want, but you are getting a fair number of extra points. That being said, I think the board is open enough after Myrrh. There's enough room and enough open tiles that maybe I would rather see keeping the ing combination together, even though there isn't an obvious place for a 7-letter word ending in ing. I think there was enough opportunity elsewhere to maybe consider that. But he's going with lungy here and draws the Z. That's nice to see, but he's going to need every bit of that scoring power after another bingo here from David.
So Riviera coming down, yeah, interesting choice. I don't think Joey lined Muir up. Maybe he missed it. I feel like he would have played that. The leave is just so much more palatable, even though Lungi scores 26. So Riviera coming down for 76, bringing David Pearl to 202, and keeping RR. You can't really expect a decent redraw, but drawing that Z, that's very, very interesting. Will Joey play it now? Or will he keep it and try to draw a Za play to the left of Stockade? So Stockades and Stockade, it's still open. Will we see something like Wiz on the top right setting up Res uh for for 46? Or yeah, maybe just this 45 points for Wares. That looks like way better than anything else.
Yeah, tempting to keep that Z for the big spot that you just pointed out. If you can draw an A, you're scoring a huge amount there. But Ware's scoring 45, leaving the very nice bingo combination of PER that looks like what's absolutely called for here. Gets him pretty close on the scoreboard. And David now with an X to respond and a very nice place to fit it right alongside the top eye of Riviera. So he is going to remain one step ahead here, heading into the midpoint of this game.
First thing he's looking at is Mix or Minx. Minx fits from the M of emptiest. Yeah, I would like to see him pivot to that X spot he just set up with Riviera, play Hex. That's such a huge score. There's no downside to that play. I guess the reason that David might want to play from the M of emptiest is to block stockades and or stockaded. But yeah, not quite working. Okay, he was just gonna play IR, that's why.
Yeah, he was just okay. Yep, it was just an IR thing. I was about to postulate that maybe he's just not seeing that, but now he does, and he goes with Hex, which is definitely the play here, scoring very well. He continues to pad his lead while opening nothing new the way that a play like Minx would do. Yes, you would block stockaded and stockades, but you would put an N out in space that would be pretty annoying to block. And he draws dooming on the rack. Not sure if there is any spot for it yet, but nice balanced set of tiles for David Pearl.
Now we're back to Joey, who's got a pretty big deficit still. He scored 45, but how about 46 for Hex? Just one-upped by his opponent, David, so he's still down 58. No A for Profaner, but he's just going to play Prof. keep ENR, another balanced leave. The L and Lungy is open. Stockade hooks are open. The E and Emptiest is open. He's going to want a bingo soon, but he doesn't need it. Prof scores enough that you could potentially just claw your way back into the game after another good draw. And there David Pearl is again, separating 3 and 4. It feels like every single time it's 3 and then 4. It's really funny to be able to see this because you never actually know what your opponent has lined up on their rack.
Yeah, this is a new tactic that I have not seen too much of, the intentional separation of the 7 letter word on the rack. But in any case, the important tile with dooming not playable anywhere on this board is the D. The question is David confident in stockaded? And if he is, he can play stuff in that spot. It looks like he might be considering playing mood. The scary thing about playing something like just DO here, Josh, is that you would be opening up a very good bingo line on a board that doesn't really have one anymore for 7 letter words. So playing something like mood, that accomplishes the goal of putting a little right angle here and walling off this lane as a bingo lane. Can't hit that. But what it does do is create a big scoring spot as an underlap. So how can you use the stockaded hook effectively, even if you are confident in it? That's a tricky question.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd think you'd want to be able to you'd think you'd be able to play a 5-letter word with the rack so nice, but the ing combination often saving the other letters on your rack. Mood is the longest word that fits there, but he's actually going to play it here instead. So this is a point sacrifice, not a big one. This scores 24 instead of 28. It might actually just be worth it on defense alone, and we're not going to find out, Will, if David knew if stockaded was a word or not, because it's blocked now forever.
This is way better positionally than almost any other choice that he had with the stockaded hook anyway. So yeah, you're right, a small point sacrifice, but this is just so lethal to the bottom of the board. And there is the second blank for David Pearl. So Joey Mallick is going to have his hands full trying to find a way to get back in this game, especially after a 3A draw after Prof. And is he going to play? Nice. Look at that board vision. That's a beautiful play, Josh, for 33.
Yeah, suddenly you thought mood was a defensive play. Well, I'm playing through those M's. That's a really beautiful find. Rammer for 33, exactly what the doctor ordered for Joey Mallick. Open the board when you are down. And that is a great draw for him, too.
Yeah, very good draw. Not sure if.
Alienate would fit.
Oh, very nice. Alienate into that E. Of course, David is now going to lock in on that spot. It looks like he may be considering playing View at the bottom of the board, which would block the E of Rammer very conclusively, and the R almost, both of those extremely well. So that looks like just what the doctor ordered here for David. He is clinging to not that big of a lead, but I do feel like playing defense against bingos at all cost, he's up by enough to justify a play like this.
Yeah, so competing doctors for Joey Mallick. His doctor wants to open. David Pearl's doctor wants to close.
Oh,
And
he
they're
still has
totally
this, though.
their jobs. But yeah, Alienate does fit to the E of Emptiest still for a very small score, but also much more defensive than playing to the E of Rammer. So I think, wow, just immediate. Alienate is 59 points here. So Joey Mallick up by 11 after the SES draw of David Pearl. Fangless will fit through the L and funguses through the
Yeah.
U of Lungi.
If he's doubtful in Fangless at all, Funguses will come to his aid. But make no mistake, I think Fangless is arguably a little bit better just to prevent any counterplay from going along the top row, which Funguses would allow Joey to do. Nice draw, though, for Joey. It looks like in certain cases he might be able to do something with this rack. But this is just up to David to spot either Fangless, which is a little bit tough to remember, is this a valid word, or Funguses. I think if he sees that one, it's going to go down.
Or you could just play FES in the top right, making XIS and ERE,
Hmm.
keeping SNG blank with a decent amount of vowels to redraw. That might actually even be better. Instead of taking just 65 points to take a 50-point lead, I'm going to take a 30 or 20-point lead and keep the blank for later. Although, in terms of how this board looks and in terms of what David's game plan has been, I think thematically it is time for him to play his bingo if he sees it and just try and coast his way to victory.
There is some danger. I do like the idea of keeping that blank and playing FES for a pretty good score. Hold on to that blank. The board is still very difficult to navigate, both for bingos and scores. And you can probably do well after a play like that. But there are 3 U's still lurking. There are some draws that you can get after a play like that where you might regret not taking the bingo immediately. So he's now spotted Fangless. This is definitely a great play by him. The only question, the confidence level in this word, which if you were given this as a quiz question and told, Josh, there's a word in here, what is it? You would see Fangless. But playing it over the board on the live stream at the national championship is another matter.
Indeed, it is. And we see him sitting there. Is he confident enough? If he has any bit of doubt and doesn't see funguses, even if he does see funguses, just play FES. Live to see another day. Don't lose your turn at a pivotal moment of the game. And yeah, I guess the issue is, well, it could be that after FES, David Pearl never sees a bingo rack for the rest of the game. So I do think this is probably not entirely correct from where I'm standing, but it is a great play, and he's still in fantastic position after this play.
Yeah, I mean, yes, he could draw UU or something like that, but in point of fact, he is much likelier to draw more bingos after this. But look at that. Oh, this is exactly what we were worried about for him. Oh man, the lack of vowels is going to hold him back. It's going to give Joey a golden opportunity to potentially get his rack into better bingo shape. And I wonder, is it possible that Joey can beat David Pearl to the punch with the next bingo of the game? It's going to be tough, but not impossible.
Yeah, this rack, the more I look at it, it looks so balanced, so nice.
Oh,
There's just,
great. Look at this, though. What a spot by
yeah,
David Pearl. I didn't even
oh,
see that.
there he goes again with the 3-4 gold turns through the U is playable. And the more I look at this rack of Joey's, the more I'm worried. I hate everything here. You can play something like Eunuch through the U of Lungi and open a huge triple. You can't really do that. You could play Hound through that same U. You could play Douche through that U. Those are the plays that will actually work out for Joey if he plays them. But UH on the top right looks so much better.
It gets in the way of gold urns, just barely. That would be crazy, Josh. It seems like a play that doesn't block that much, but at least it balances Joey's rack, and it happens to block the play that David would desperately want to get down here. That would be crazy to see go down.
It's such a close game, right? Like it's it's hanging in the balance. 20 points between the two. A blank is out, but 2 U's are out. So it feels like the first order of business for Joey Mallick would be to play off a U. And he's seeing this also plays to the left of Stockade for 16 rather than 19, but opens a little bit more, which might be something Joey wants to do at a small deficit. Might not be. If he plays on the top right, if he's patient, he will block gold urns. And instead of getting a 60-point score, David Pearl will be stuck with 6 consonants that don't do anything. This is the most pivotal turn of this game so far. Will Joey Mallick see through the position and make a block? If he does, he's in good position. If he doesn't, game is pretty much lost for him.
Yeah, it's crazy too because I feel like in Joey's shoes, trying to get that second blank would be so nice. And if you're only playing 2 tiles, you are sort of hampering your chances to do that. But that being said, what can you read into David taking a long time on his turn and then playing FES? I just wonder, does that mean that David has good tile? Ooh, we're gonna see there. Okay.
Oh
This
my
makes
goodness.
this makes sense, right? This makes sense. This is if Joey feels like I want to create a bingo lane that I can use, this does that way better than playing UH at the top of the board. I think it's a totally sensible instinct. It just so happens in this case, huge swing in the game for sure.
Wow, he actually did it. I mean, I don't really see how that helps him all that much. It's so hard to overlap Oot and HO. Did he miss the top right placement or did he do this on purpose? We don't know, but it allows Goldurns to come down. And if he saw the 19 pointer, he's regretting it. If he didn't, now he needs to find out how can I steal this game from David Pearl down 67 with not so fantastic rack. I don't have an A to hook onto the G. Feel like you might have to play from the G of Goldurns and hope things don't get blocked, but this looks so terrible.
Yeah, just a grim situation now. That bingo of Goldurns, even though it doesn't score as well as a bingo that reached the edge of the board might do with these bonus squares, it has a huge advantage, which is the more tiles out in space in this direction, the more space there might be for Joey to come back with a bingo. As it is now, the only tile that he can even think to play through is the G of Goldurns or the O with incredibly specific overlaps going down past the U and H that he just played. Those are not very good lanes. So, in a way, even though David would love to get more points here, the resulting board position is so poisonous to Joey's ability to get an equalizing bingo down.
But Joey has a C. The C is a weapon. You can start words with the C. You can fork the board with the C. There are no 2-letter words with the C. ECO and GO for 13 points, setting up Deco, but also setting up a C in starting position for a bingo. Is this enough for Joey Mallick? But what if David just scores? What if he plays on top, making ego or a go?
Vibe.
I mean, he has Bibe right now. Joey doesn't know what he has, but this might be the best shot Joey has. If Eco comes down, a play on the top, you get something starting in D. Suddenly the scores are close to tied. Does the timing work out? This will leave 6 in the bag. A 4-tile play on top will leave 2 in the bag. A bingo with Deco would empty the bag. Joey would draw 2 tiles. It might be another very close game. I think Eco's the only thing he has in this position.
That it feels like when from Joey's perspective, looking into the unseen pool.
Oh, he's playing it there. I was gonna say, whoa.
Ooh,
Oh,
okay.
that's right. He's potentially hoping for a B for Boho.
Yeah, which of course now David with both of the B's on his rack, he can just sit tight and say, I've got the last hook to that. And I don't have to worry. So yeah, that might have been the idea. Meanwhile, a terrible draw for Joey anyway, so it didn't seem like he was destined to succeed, even had he played Eco in the other spot. But all I was going to say, Josh, is that looking into the unseen pool from Joey's perspective, Bibe is like the worst case scenario that could have happened to him after Eco. There was pretty much no other scoring play that would have given him pause. This might actually have been the highest scoring 4-letter word available to get hit after that play. So feels like all the options had serious problems there for Joey Mallick through no fault of his own.
Yeah, and this one scores quite well. So there could be something to be said about it. The problem is with 6 tiles in the bag, had David drawn the last S, for example, which is a tile, of course, Joey wants to draw. He gets a 5-tile play with ecos and takes a very strong lead and probably outruns Joey's bingos. If he has one of the two Bs, how does he block boho exactly? It doesn't really you don't really need a B. You can just play to the K and stockade and block that way, block laterally. So I feel like this play, although it scores enough to stay within range, is just a little bit too transparent and will not work out for Joey Mallick. So I would have liked to have him spend a little bit more time considering another placement for this word off the beaten path. In either case, Joey was extremely unlikely to win this game. It feels like this one just too easy to deal with at this deficit. Even just a 10-point play or 15-point play to the K of stockade, a 3-tile play, would just block everything.
Yeah, it's a very good point there. A play like that, potentially, I don't think there really is a play that goes into the DA, but either of those would have dealt with the new threat quite effectively. And then you're looking at a dearth of options for sure. But meanwhile, I wonder what David is going to do with the knowledge that he has both Bs and that he can either hold them, hold one, use the other. He's in a good position here. The board is extremely ironclad for him from his perspective, knowing he's got those Oho hooks. What should he do? Obviously, you're wanting to secure victory in the game, but maybe there's an argument to be made for trying to go for a bingo. He's going to play bib. Interesting choice. I wonder if this is the way to go here because before this play, there's not a lot going on, but now there is a chance that you can get a 7-letter word with an A in second position, Josh.
Yeah, I wonder if David has mistracked and didn't think there was an A left. Huh. Yeah, it was hard to find a move, but you're up 46 points. You don't need to do anything. I guess he was a little bit concerned with setup plays. I don't really know what the point of this play of bib was other than to just balance the rack. You're going up 63, so you're still probably outrunning bingos, but this feels like just opening the door up to a couple of potential losses that weren't there before. In any case, 63 points between Joey Mallick and David Pearl and 3 tiles in the bag. This is Joey Mallick's last time to try something. And looking in the unseen letters, they're so good, except for that U. Joey Mallick needs to play off a couple tiles here, maybe 3 tiles if he can draw something in 2 spots, set a spot up for himself again. The only spot to go now on this board is on the left side. There's just not enough space anywhere else. So a play hooking onto the G of gold urns or onto eco to make deco is necessary here.
Yeah, for sure. The left side is where Joey is going to be focused for the reasons you described. There just isn't quite enough real estate in this area to fit a bingo down. So if Joey is going to figure out a way to pull this off, it's going to be on the left side. That being said, he is hamstrung a little bit by the number of tiles in the bag. 3 tiles in the bag means you cannot play a 4-tile play up here and still preserve the ability to bingo on the next turn. Otherwise, it might be nice to play something like Odia in the top side of the board just to score and put some letters that David has to think about. That being said, the play of Odia would also use your last A, which is necessary to play in this spot. So maybe you're looking at a play underneath the G. That might be what he needs to do here, either way, just to create a threat, however unlikely, that he can pair with the bib lane that David just created.
Yeah, you have to play 2 or 3 tiles. You can't play 4 or the bag will be empty. You'll only have 6 tiles on your rack. I think the only play that I'm seeing that might give a chance is Udo and GO. Maybe you draw the L for Ludo. The L is in the bag, but a U and a G are the other tiles in the bag. So if Udo comes down, it completely empties the bag, and AEGLNOU will be Joey Mallick's final rack. So maybe you actually just hope that David has mistracked. Hope that he doesn't realize there's an A in the pool, and you play something elsewhere on the board. Is that what Joey Mallick is considering? Book 15.
That's a funny
Trying to hit
one,
E.
just because of ebook. Yeah, I mean, he has to feel pretty confident that David's going to have an E of his own. So I'm not sure how often that actually works out well, given that. I mean, maybe and there's no R's. I mean, it would be amazing if there was an R and you could like lure David into somehow playing something with ebook and then play rebook, but that's not on the table here. So yeah, not sure what the plan would be after book. Do you see anything, Josh?
No, but again, leaving a tile in the bag, leaving the fog of war, hoping that David Pearl makes a mistake. That might be Joey's best chance here. It feels so close to being over, but one more chance at making something happen. Yeah, maybe NO and GO, setting up the last O for oh no, keeping the A, give some reasonable chances as well. Yeah, none of these plays are good. DO could also be a good play. You have to look at the unseen letters and try to find a way to bingo. Looks like OU now being separated from the rack. I guess Joey, if he plays off OU with like SOU from the S and emptiest, he can certainly draw stuff with AB. Again, that's where he's looking at, to the left of the B of bib. That's his main attempt at getting a bingo down.
Yeah, it's a grim situation, right? And there are a lot of end game or pre-end game situations where your task is to come up with a pathway to victory, and the grimmer the situation of the game and the less likely the situation, the more you have to go way off the beaten path and try something a little bit bizarre that might somehow give you a chance. Because if you do the customary things that good plays typically represent, it's not going to get the job done. So, is it possible, for example, that you play book and hope that David misses the hook here? Like, could you bank on him not thinking of ebook and then draw into something there? Is that the way forward? That's really difficult to evaluate because there is a human element to it. Of course, a player like David Pearl is very, very likely to see the ebook extension, but how do you put a value on that, Josh, of like the likelihood he misses a hook? Hard to do.
So this gives back tenties. It's a guess an attempt, but unfortunately, it's not going to work out for Joey Mallick. He's drawn the G and the L, so the last tile in the bag is an O. It was very desperate. It was very much potentially just even like impossible to win the game for Joey in that position, based on what we know David had. But that's an attempt. You have to try something, and oftentimes trying something that induces the most mistakes is better than trying something that gives the absolute best winning chances.
So it is an interesting, you mentioned tenties. So Tenti is actually valid with this spelling, but I believe it is an alternate form of the adjective with a Y, Tenti. So you cannot put an S here. So there is some possibility if David knows Tenti and he had it lined up on the rack. I really don't think we're going to see a phony be played here, but it's tempting, and he set the S aside. But Josh, as we know, setting a tile aside doesn't mean too much in the visual language of David Pearl.
Yeah. Does he see ebook? That's another thing. The value in book is potentially just, will my opponent see the e hook? It doesn't really feel like a word that takes a hook. But yeah, we'll see what David Pearl does. All that being said, with Joey Mallick's rack, he doesn't have a 7-letter word, especially not one that fits. So even if David Pearl somehow loses a turn on tenties, it will probably not be enough for Joey Mallick to come back. And David's got 7 minutes, so we'll see what he ends up doing here. He could also try to play like interview to the view. If he doesn't have an R. But yeah, you could pretty much do anything here. You just don't want to open the board for an out bingo for Joey.
Yeah, the nice thing too about Tenty is putting the T here is just a total wall to any potential hooks going across, and even setup plays if you were to, try to make one of those, although with one tile in the bag, there's no point there. Um, David is going to be going out no matter what. But yeah, just a question of his confidence level. I think he's clearly thinking about playing Tenty, and he's surely thinking that it's going to lock down the board. But are you confident enough to play a phony in this position? As you say, it isn't likely to cost him the game, but he can't really know that. And instinctively, you feel in a situation like this, oh my God, if I play a phony and it gets challenged and I lose, it would just be the worst thing ever. So he's probably going to opt for something he is sure of one way or another.
Sorry, the U is the last tile on the bag here. It is interesting. If Joey had played the two O's elsewhere on the board, he would be threatening Langued with AB, but
Isn't
here
that
we see.
Collins only?
Nope.
No. What am I thinking of? Oh,
Here
yeah,
we
it's
see
not.
Tent. Here we see Tent for 19. David just unsure of the IE extension to that, so just playing it safe. He's going to draw that U, so don't believe he's going to be able to go out with that, which means that Joey Mallick will have the endgame to set up a sequence for himself and just minimize his losses. But this game will be going to David Pearl. Very, very interesting decisions in the late game for both players. I think if you're Joey Mallick, you go back and look at this game, it was the one turn Lungi keeping two R's might regret. He might have regretted not playing MURR at the bottom there.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. This was a very crisply played game by both players. I can't even think of a move that David made where I would consider something else, maybe mood, but I feel like his play actually did a lot of things better than some of the plays we were pointing out. So maybe Bib, I guess you could say, for David is a play that invited some winning chance back into the game for Joey, but he wasn't able to draw well enough to put a realistic plan together. So other than that, very impressive by David Pearl, who continues his march up the standings, pulling Joey back to the pack a little bit. And of course, we will keep you up to date on the other results from this round with a slew of other players who are going to be very happy to hear that Joey has dropped the game after a very, very good morning.
Is this the tightest Nationals has ever been? I guess Joey has 4 losses only after 18 games, but I mean,
he's about to have 5,
field is so tight. Like after day 1, no one was undefeated. I don't remember seeing that. And yeah, lots of people at Joey's tail, and his spread differential, the plus 634, not so great for the position that he's in. So he needs to stay ahead. He needs to stay a game up on people if he continues only winning his games by 2 points or 6 points. He's going to need to keep winning.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like the rule of thumb at this tournament for any player that has aspirations of becoming one of the 2 finalists after the end of day 4, and just as a reminder, that is how this tournament is going to work. After 28 rounds of play, the top 2 players in the standings at that time will advance into the, I believe, best of 7 finals, which is absolute cinema each and every year that we've had it. But yeah, so the rule of thumb, can you get to 20 wins? That seems to be the magic number if history proves to repeat itself again. But if there's parity in that way, maybe that number could start to drop. Is that possible? I don't know. It seems like there's enough games left that I still would say 20 feels like the magic number. As we see a nice play here, unlaid. Look at all those
That
overlaps.
looks like Joey's best endgame play because it scores so well, but actually, I lied. David Pearl does have an outplay here. It is so hard to spot, so I'm gonna let you guys try and find it on this board, and we'll see if he spots it with 5 minutes left. But Joey Mallick's best play, give you a little hint as to where potentially this outplay is, was only 4 points.
That's amazing. I think I see the idea behind it, but that is a goofy situation. Would be a really cool outplay, a nice cherry on top of a great game for David if he spots it. Of course, he does not need to. He's going to have his pick of some pretty reasonable non-outplays here. Yeah, so it's only academic. Oh, is it best of 5? Sorry, what has that always been? I thought it was longer. But
If it isn't best of 5, we've been lying to you for 3 days straight, so I don't I don't know for sure. But I'm pretty sure for the top division in CSW and the top division in NWL would be a best of 5. But for the other divisions, I believe it's just a straight 31 game tournament.
Interesting. I'm gonna just. Yeah, it looks like I misremembered, and last year it was just a best of 5. So I totally forgot. It was so exciting that I thought there were more games than there actually were. So, all right, we've seen our ending plays here. Looks like just Prof's dinking the S off, and then Joey goes out with his G.
Wait a second. That was Joey's only spot for the G. Sorry, this end game was so weird. Let's listen to the overhead mic.
Yeah. Just everything else I wanted to play here would give you an out spot, so. At least you couldn't score much to block it. But
no D on this, right?
I was wondering about that. I never drew one, so. And he took care of it for us.
Yeah. Rec was a ing up there. Dooming.
Odeming.
Go see what Lisa owed.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
For sure you're going to play there.
When?
I don't know when I had gold turns.
Oh.
It's like be a dead rack without that you.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to leave it open because I was behind, but just wish I could score more. I had ouched in with the UH rack, and I figured I could score decently and open something up. And
Oh, it's not good.
what?
10T. Oh yeah, it is good.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, didn't look in that other column. Yes.
Yeah, I had it there ready to go, so I had 2 spots.
Yeah, very nice. Oh,
Yeah, I thought that was my chance, but when I didn't draw the blank, I thought I was in trouble.
Yeah. That's good. Comment about the blank. Yeah, I finally.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't think he kept track over time, but he's beaten me a few times. It's
Oh,
not-
it does. It does take the D.
Yeah, I thought it probably did.
I wasn't in a position where I thought I had to risk it. Otherwise, yeah, then it's.
Like blockaded, rhymes with blockaded. That's probably how to remember it. I couldn't believe it stayed open. I thought you'd overlap. But it worked
I
out.
did, as soon as you played it, I didn't
Yeah.
think of stockaded.
Yeah, Rammer bailed me out too. I had AALN with that rack.
Good opening. Good. I had the blank right after that, so I had the F and G blank.
Alrighty, so 447 David Pearl, 403 Joey Mallick. A lot to talk about in that end game, but it doesn't really matter. It's all academic. Ooh, there was a voice crack. Josh Sokol here with Will Anderson. Thank you to NASPA Games for sponsoring the stream. We have 2 more games after lunch today. This was the first of 3. We're going to take a break, look at the pairings, come back to you very, very soon with the next matchup. Don't go anywhere.